Hello, Internet. Welcome to another episode of Chad's Beer Reviews. Got a guest reviewer, Dan the Endosymbiosis Harper. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yep. I sent you, actually, it's like almost 2 months ago, I sent you a whole box of beers, including this one. This is the Ommegang Hennepin. It's their Saison. It's kind of strong for a Saison at 7.7% ABV. Um, I've had this beer. A lot of bars in this area have it on tap. You can certainly get it on bottles. I've had it many times. I've never really been a big fan of it. I never understood the appeal, especially considering it gets like an A on Beer Advocate and like a 97 on Rate Beer. So I thought, Daniel and I seem to have similar tastes in beer. I don't know if he's had this beer before or not, but I thought it'd be fun to review it with him and see if it's just me or if I have a valid point that this isn't that great of a beer.
Well, I've had this, but it's been a long time. I don't have a real clear memory of it, and I've had a bunch of saisons since I've had it last, so it'll definitely be interesting to get to try it again. So
Yeah. All right, so let's get to pouring here.
I gotta say that's a pretty looking beer, at least on my end. I think in the
Yeah,
break we were talking, mine seems to be a lot fresher than yours, which is ironic because you
yeah.
sent mine to me. But it does have a huge like stream of carbonation, just crazy carbonation coming up from the bottom of the glass. It's a real beautiful kind of golden color.
Yeah.
It's got about a like 3.5 finger, almost 4 fingers worth of head. I mean, this glass is an Ommegang glass, so I'm sure it's designed for these
Right.
beers. But
Like a Duvel glass.
this looks phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a bright banana skin color. Mine's hazy because I poured the whole thing in, so there's probably a little bit of yeast sediment in there.
Okay.
Smell. It is very Belgian-y smelling. I get
Yeah.
like banana skin. Um, little bit of like pepper.
Yeah, it's definitely got that Brettanomyces. It definitely has that kind of bready, that horse blanket kind of quality. Um,
Horse blanket.
as you a horse blanket or wet blanket or farmhouse. It's got that farmhouse kind of quality to
Farmhouse
it.
funk, yeah.
Yeah, definitely has that. I mean, it's not as overt as some other saisons I've had, but it's pretty there. It really has a nice
So
aroma.
you want to dig in here?
I'm thirsty.
Yep.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. It just like the foam just like fills your whole mouth. Like like we talk about like imperial stouts like coating your whole mouth.
Right,
But this beer, every time I've had it, that's the sensation. Is like I've had a lot of homebrews like that too. It's got to be from like the yeast, but
right.
you just get like this whole mouthful of foam, and I get like a lot of pepper on the tongue, and it finishes a lot. It reminds me a lot of the saison Dupont, like very dry, and
Yep.
a little bit of lemon right there in the finish.
I'm getting maybe a little bit less pepper on the flavor than I did on the aroma. Um, it's got a real strong kind of lemony quality. The pepper's mostly in the aftertaste on this.
Yeah,
It does remind me of Duvel. It's probably a very similar yeast. It's not the exact same yeast strain. That carbonation is really nice. It really cleans off the palate very nicely. These are meant to be very crisp. They're meant to be very clean. They're meant to be kind of summery beers, and they're meant to be just something you can just sit and enjoy, and not something that you necessarily have to pay a lot of attention to. And I think it really kind of satisfies that. I've got to say, I'm enjoying this more than I really even remembered enjoying it. Honestly,
yeah.
this is a really solid beer.
I think I'm liking it more than I remember too, but not to the point where I'm jumping for joy about it. It is a very dry beer. Just like when it fills up your mouth and the aftertaste sensation, very very dry. It's not that it's like bitter and hoppy or anything. It's just that standard Belgian light ale type dryness.
Right. It's that yeast. That yeast really cleans out that your palate really well, and the pepperiness and the just like you're right. It is just that very kind of it's that almost oppressive dryness here. The malt is just. I mean, it's just a very very clean malt flavor. Um, there's not a lot of like candy sweetness or caramel sweetness or anything going on. But that's just style. I mean, that's very much like what this is meant to be. And I think, if you're having issues with saisons, I think you just may not like the style very much.
I'm doing all I can to not burp after every swig.
Right.
Like that. I've been holding it. It's like, holding a fart, um,
Pause for editing.
and that's, I mean, the drinkability for this and like the DuPont and some others that I've had is kind of what, takes it down a notch in my book. Is, yeah, it's not the kind of beer you'd want to just slug right down. Because I really wouldn't call it refreshing. Like, it's not, if I was parched, I'd drink this and I'd still be parched. In fact, I wasn't parched, and now I am parched by drinking it.
Right. I mean, I definitely like this more than you do. I actually am really, like, I was thirsty when I sat down to do this review, and I'm finding it really refreshing, actually. I actually am enjoying it on that level. So, there is a difference between, I found one of the differences in your palate and my palate is that you tend to be a little more tuned towards sweeter beers than I am. I tend to like them a little bit drier, a little bit like roastier or whatever, but I don't like that kind of overtly sweet character as much. And so it does kind of make sense that a beer that's really kind of tuned exactly in that dry direction would kind of hit my palate a little better than yours.
I'm going to give this a 6. Like a B minus,
Right.
It's like I just don't... Drinking this, it's not wowing me. There's really nothing about it that's turning me off aside from the fact that this bottle might be a little old, but it's too dry and a little too peppery and so damn highly carbonated that it's difficult to drink. But other than that, I think it's, if I had this with grilled chicken or fish, a salad, it would be great. But drinking it on its own like this, it's just kind of like, okay.
This is one where you and I are just gonna pretty strongly disagree. If I'm gonna rate it numerically, I'd probably give this like 8 or a 9. I'm in that range. I'm really enjoying that. In fact, I'd probably go 9 on it.
Wow.
This is one of the better saisons. Again, I'm just really enjoying this bottle. I've had it before. It's not a beer I've had regularly, but I've had it before. But I always kind of say you got to review the bottle in front of you. You got to review the glass in front of you. And I'm really enjoying this. I would give it like a 9 or probably like a A minus, somewhere in that range. In my letter grade system, this would be like an A minus, B plus. I mean, I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna go 9 or A minus. I think this is really, really solid. Really enjoyable, and right about exactly where I'd want a saison to be. Honestly, I like this better than Saison DuPont, and I wouldn't have expected to say that. And
I like it better than Saison DuPont too, but just by a little bit. Mm-hmm. Although we kind of proved my initial thesis that it's just me. I'm crazy. Everybody else loves this, so
right.
If you're watching this, you might want to stick with Dan. Take Dan's word over mine on this. All right. Well, I guess that about wraps it up for the Ommegang Hennepin saison. We're both giving it a thumbs up, where I'm just kind of giving it a thumbs up, but Dan is like really, really impressed on this one. So, thanks for joining me on this one, Dan, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.